Israel declared that it has started up its operation in Gaza again after Hamas broke the conditions of a 7-day ceasefire. The declaration was made a day after United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with leaders in Israel and the occupied West Bank, including President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. On Monday, December 4, as it continued its offensive campaign further south, Israel issued orders for citizens to evacuate large portions of the main southern metropolis in the Gaza Strip. Concerns over civilian casualties are growing as the Israeli military intensifies its attack into the densely populated southern Gaza Strip. Ground operations have been increased. Israeli Army spokesperson Daniel Hagari announced on Sunday at a press briefing. The goal of the increased offensive, which came after a week-long ceasefire broke down, is to destroy the Hamas rulers in Gaza, whose attack on Israel on October 7 started the conflict. The IDF continues to extend its ground operation against Hamas centers in all of the Gaza Strip. In all of the Gaza Strip, where there is a Hamas center, the IDF is operating. The forces are fighting face-to-face with terrorists, Hagari declared. The southern cities of the enclave, Khan Younis and Rafah, were the primary targets of artillery and warplane attack. According to the Israeli government, approximately 400 targets were hit by the IDF over the weekend, including extensive aerial attacks in the Khan Younis region. We were sleeping safely, and without a warning, we felt a shake. A shell fell over the area, and all the houses around were affected, including ours. Lots of people were affected in the area. Following a week-long ceasefire and hostilities during which 240 Palestinian inmates and detainees were exchanged for 105 hostages held by Hamas, the combat has resumed. A day after announcing that it would be expanding its ground operations to include the entire territory, the Israel Defense Forces provided an update on Monday stating that roughly 200 Hamas targets in Gaza had been damaged by Israeli airstrikes. Among the targets was a school in the town of Beit Hanun in the northeast, which the IDF said had terror infrastructure in the form of subterranean shafts filled with explosives and weapons. According to the IDF, other airstrikes targeted an arms storage site as well as a car carrying weapons. In the course of the night, the Israeli Navy also hit a number of targets, assisting with the reinforcement of ground troops. According to the IDF, it has attacked thousands of Hamas targets. Israel, the US, the UK, and other Western nations consider Hamas to be a terrorist organization. At present, Israeli ground forces are advancing into the southern region of Gaza and conducting operations in the vicinity of Khan Younis. According to the IDF, it has also demolished hundreds of underground shafts that were erected beneath Gaza. According to Hamas, its network of tunnels spans 500 kilometers. During the conflict, Israel claims to have killed hundreds of Hamas fighters, many of whom were commanders. Over 390 Israeli soldiers have lost their lives, the majority during the onslaught on October 7. Since the fighting started, 75 Israeli soldiers have reportedly died in Gaza, according to the IDF. Since over 70% of Gaza's Palestinian population lives in the southern region, worries about the number of civilian deaths are increasing as the offensive advances southward. On Sunday, the Israeli military ordered residents of numerous Khan Younis neighborhoods to leave and head toward Rafah, which is located on the Egyptian border in the west and south. However, locals claim that they have not been able to locate someplace safe, and that these locations are also being attacked. We move because it's the only thing we can do. We have children, and we can't see any safe areas, so we move from area to area throughout the night. But there's no safety anywhere in Gaza, one local claimed. More than 15,500 Palestinians had been killed since October, according to figures from Gaza's health ministry as of Sunday, majority of whom were women and children. Hamas militants surrender to the IDF as intense clashes resume in Gaza. Israel launches a comprehensive assault on Hamas by land, sea, and air during the ongoing conflict in Gaza. First-person footage captures IDF soldiers on the ground, while drone videos depict airstrikes on Hamas targets from above. Additional footage shows naval forces targeting coastal locations. Simultaneously, the IDF's Maglan unit specializing in behind-enemy lines operations forces Hamas fighters out of tunnels, leading to their surrender. The week-long ceasefire ended after Hamas failed to exchange hostages taken on October 7. The IDF is shifting focus to southern Gaza after eliminating what it deems terrorist infrastructure in the north. Hamas initiated the conflict on October 7 by unilaterally breaking the existing ceasefire with its surprise invasion of Israel. Additionally, Hamas violated agreements for temporary halts in hostilities, failing to release hostages and Palestinian prisoners as agreed and preventing vital necessities from entering Gaza. Despite a pause in effect, Hamas claimed responsibility for the killing of 3 Israelis in Jerusalem on November 30 and launched rockets from Gaza into Israel. Furthermore, Hamas did not fulfill its commitment to release all female Israeli hostages it was holding at that time. Now that Hamas officials are allegedly hiding in the southern part of the Gaza Strip, the conflict has spread to that area. In order to provide more prior warnings and to encourage civilians living in the impacted fighting zone to go further south and west in search of safer ground, Israel has taken extraordinary measures. Furthermore, compared to the original proposal, Israel has agreed to define significantly bigger safe zones in southern Gaza. Despite the possibility that doing so would reveal Israel's military intentions to Hamas and impede its attempts to destroy the organization, Israel is taking these measures to protect civilian lives. Meanwhile, Israel's conflict with the Houthi is heating up. After taking control of an Israeli-owned vessel last week, the Houthis, who are supported by Iran, have increased their attacks on ships in the Red Sea. Global shipping has been compelled by the violent episodes to assess the potential for increased risks. This weekend saw a significant uptick in marine assaults around the Middle East, as 3 commercial ships were attacked in the Red Sea on Sunday by ballistic missiles fired by the Houthi rebels in Yemen. A week prior, armed men leaping from a helicopter onto the deck of a Japanese-operated cargo ship in the Red Sea, supported by Iran, raised the flags of Yemen and Palestine. The Strait, a thin body of water dividing the Arabian Peninsula from the Horn of Africa, was the target of an attack on 3 commercial vessels, the United States military reported late on Sunday. Just 2 ships were the targets of Houthi strikes. At least one of the bullets that are thought to have been fired at the Bahamas-flagged bulk ship Unity Explorer struck its target and caused damage. In response to distress calls from other ships, the Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer USS Carney shot down a drone that seemed to be moving for it and also downed 2 other drones. Tehran has not yet made an official statement regarding the most recent incident, but it has previously insisted that, despite supporting a resistance axis that includes organizations in Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon, each of these groups functions independently. Hezbollah, an organization supported by Iran, has been fighting Israeli forces on the border in a bloody show of support for the Palestinian people. There are concerns that there may be a regional escalation after Israeli shelling claimed the lives of dozens of Hezbollah fighters, including journalists. Yahya Saree, the spokesperson for the Houthi military, acknowledged taking credit for 2 of the assaults, but refrained from addressing reports that one of its drones was shot down by a U.S. destroyer.